So I'm here picking up my rock sliders. Excited.
Good luck.
Thanks, man. Haven't really been hitting those hard trails just because I don't have the rock sliders and I don't want to ruin my rocker panels. But today, I finally get them. So this little outfit where I take my fab to get powder coated, they're a small little family owned business and the prices is hard to beat. When you first come in here, you kind of feel like you're going into a residence, but they got a little sign. If you're going too fast, you'll miss it. It's right off the highway. Every time I come here, these workers, they show you nothing but love. They're always in a good mood. They're never too busy for you. And that's what I like. You get there, it's a small place. It looks like a hole in the wall, but you get the best service and they treat you like family. The prices are great. They're just coming up, you know, they're like the underdog. That's what I love about them. So I'm here, I'm getting my stuff. Stuff looks original. And I forgot to bring a blanket, so they're providing some foam, preferential treatment. Good customer service. Today's video, I'm gonna be installing a set of rock sliders with some stepping plates. I got these sliders from C4. I want to give a shout out to Wes. Told him this was for my channel. I was gonna do a review. And I just want to throw some deuces at him. Appreciate the love for hooking the brother up. So I'm gonna show you a step-by-step how to install these, and it shouldn't take too long. Let's go ahead and throw these on. Hardware included: 8 1.5 inch flange bolts, 4 1/2 inch flange nuts, 6 1-inch carriage head bolts, 6 3/8 flange nuts, 40 step plate bolts, 2 rectangular nut plates and 2 square nut plates, 2 of these nuts on a stick for front and driver side, 14 3/8 flat washers, 6 3/8 1-inch gold grade 8 bolts, 4 of these 3/8 thread cutting screws. Alright, so the first step, I'm going to remove the round rubber cover and the rectangular plastic cap covering the holes in the frame rail on both sides near the large body mount bracket. Not all models have these covers, so some of you may not need to do this. Remove these 2 nuts from the driver's side using a 12mm socket. Now once you've done this, pull the bracket away from the inside of the frame rail on the driver's side. Now here I'm going to pry the hard steel lines out of the plastic clip. I'm going to move the lines up so that the bottom line clips into the top plastic clip. The top line will be fine above it without a mounting clip. These lines need to be moved away from the hole in the frame so that the bolt can pass through. Go ahead and pop this plastic clip out of the frame on the driver's side. This holds your wire harness to the frame rail. This needs to be pushed up to the top of the frame so that it doesn't interfere with the slider mounts. So next step, I'm going to remove the bolt for the wiring harness bracket on the driver's side. The slider mounting plate will fit up behind this bracket. Also, I found it helpful to remove all these plastic clips that are holding that wiring harness to the side of your frame rail. This is going to allow you to tuck that in out of the way so that you can install your rock sliders. Now there's this plastic cover that's on the inside of your frame rail on the driver's side that's going to need to come off. Very easy. There's a bolt on the top side, and just remove that, because this is where the capture nuts on the stick is going to have to go. Oh my gosh, they couldn't have given this a funnier name. Ouch. Now let's jump over to the passenger side and remove this wiring harness bracket cover using the 10mm wrench or socket. Next step, I'm going to remove the 2 bolts holding the bracket to the frame using a 12mm wrench or socket. You're going to reinstall the bolt to the right and then reinstall the plastic cover to the bracket. Leave the bracket hanging from the frame for now. You're going to reinstall everything after the sliders are in place. And like you did on the driver's side, remove these plastic coverings. Next up, I'm going to position my sliders where I need them, and I bought these really nice moving blankets, and man, they come in handy so you don't scratch up any of your mods. Now I did order the stepping plates. They are extra charge if you want those. To me, they come in handy, especially if your wife loves to wear high heels. And after you slap those on, they recommend getting the electrical box in position on the driver's side. And remember those 2 nuts that you removed from this box? Well, they're going to help hold the slider in position. And do not tighten any of the nuts or bolts until all the hardware is in position. Now it will help if you have a friend to hold the sliders in place. These sliders weigh about 75 pounds. I went ahead and put them on jack stands. Now this is the driver's side rock slider, and as I put these into position, the electrical box has 2 studs sticking out, and this is going to help you hold this in position. And it's a little challenge. It's not going to go on that easy, but you'll find a way to do it like I did. At this time, I'm going to install the 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch flange bolts through the large holes in the frame rail where the steel fuel lines were repositioned earlier. And these bolts are the ones all the way to the back of the rock sliders. At this time, I have installed all my flange bolts, but I have not tightened them down yet or installed any of the nut sticks or hardware to tighten this rock sliders. I'm just here going over all the holes that need to be filled in. Now, please note that there are not as many holes in the side of the frame on the 2017 and up Tacomas, so not all the bolts shown in this video will get installed if you have a 2017 and up model. I'm going to work my way to the back of the vehicle on my driver's side rock slider. Now that rectangular looking washer is going to go on the front bolt. The square looking washer is going to go on the back bolt, and it's going to look just like this. And I'm not going to tighten anything down yet until I get everything in position. I'm going to move my way up to the front of the rock sliders, and I'm going to slide this nut stick into position to get those 2 flange bolts on the front side of this rock slider tightened down. I won't lie, it was pretty difficult to get that nut stick and those flange bolts seated. It's going to take a while, so if you got a punching bag in your garage, probably going to want to hit that a few times, but eventually you'll get it like I did. Now I'm going to slide 2 of these gold washers onto my electrical box studs and install those flange nuts and tighten those down. And I'm also ready to start tightening down all those other flange bolts associated with this rock slider. And there's no specific pounds of torque that you need to add here. I'm just going to go ahead and give it some grit and tighten these down, making sure that they don't come off. I'm going to reinstall the bolt for my wiring harness and also clip in the plastics that hold up the wire harness to the side of the frame rail. Now the installation process for the passenger side is going to be exactly the same as you did on the driver's side. Here I'm going to demonstrate how I use the jack stands. Now as I move in, I'm going to adjust the jack stands so I can line up the holes where I want them. Next I'm going to install the 3/8 by 1 inch gold grade A bolts through these holes here that line up on the passenger side, middle section of the frame mounting plates. And remember to use the flat washers on both sides and a split lock washer on the nut side. And like the driver's side, I'm going to use the nutstick to reach into the box portion of the frame rail at the front of the rock sliders, and don't tighten these all the way. Now I'm going to work my way to the back of the rock slider and install the remaining bolts. Two of those are the 1.5 inch stainless steel and one gold grade 8 bolt. And I'm going to go ahead and install a rectangular washer to the front bolt and the square one to the back bolt. And now that all my hardware on the vertical portion of the frame rail is installed, I'm going to go and start tightening them up. Now I did make sure that the sliders are sitting tied up against the bottom of the frame rail. Now the electrical connector bracket and cover need to be reinstalled on the passenger side. When reinstalling the bracket, you will only use one of the original 2 mounting bolts, the one on the left side that we left in the bracket before putting the plastic cover on earlier. Push the bracket over to the right towards the front of the vehicle, enough so that the one bolt can be installed in the original hole that is on the right side, closest to the front of the vehicle, and use a 12mm wrench to install the bolt and hold the bracket in place. Now, if this is going to be a pavement princess or for taking the kids to soccer practice kind of truck, then this install is over. But maybe you're that person who likes to do some crazy stuff. You know, the kind of things that make your family and pets think you've lost it. And they don't want to get in the rig with you when you're off the beaten path because you're just a little unpredictable, buddy, when off-roading. If that's you, let's move on.
We got a lot of work to do,
So next, I'm going to use a 5/16 drill bit to drill up through the bottom of the frame rails at the forward mounting brackets of the rock sliders. There are 2 holes on both the driver and the passenger side. Now it's time to use your 3/8 thread cutting screws. Now you're going to want to use a 9/16 socket and a drill, not an impact drill, and apply a small amount of WD-40 or drill tap lube to the thread cutting screws. Use a drill to power tap the thread cutting bolts right up into the bottom of the frame rail. Hold the drill perpendicular to the frame and use even pressure with the drill on low speed setting. The thread cutting screws will thread themselves into the frame rail. If your drill's not powerful enough, you're going to have to finish the job with a socket wrench. Next, I'm going to drill a 3/8 hole up through the bottom of the frame rails on both sides where each square hole is located in the rock slider frame mounting plate. After the holes are drilled through, you can install the 3/8 by 1 inch carriage head bolts with washers and nuts on the inside of the frame rail. So there are going to be 3 carriage bolts on your driver's side and 3 carriage bolts on the passenger side. After this step, you are done. The sliders look better than I thought they would on this rig. I thought they were gonna look big and bulky, but C4 just makes great mods. Don't know who's in charge of the ingenuity behind these mods, but boy, please give that man a beer and a raise. Now I've taken these out to Browns Camp in Tillamook, Oregon, and they've saved my butt several times. I wanted to thank Wes for my discount, also C4 for staying in business through COVID. I can't imagine how tough that was with all the prices going up on metal. Anyways, wish you guys the best. Give them a follow on Insta. And now you are ready for an off-road adventure, my friend. After this mod, you will feel a sense of you can trample the weak and hurdle the dead type of attitude. It's time to search and rescue Bigfoot as you scale the formidable mountains and tread the side of 100-foot bluffs. You will no longer need to take the bypass on trails. You have the options of hanging with the big boys if you choose. You have options, big guy. But I would recommend going a bit further. At the time, I don't have full skid plates, but I'm working on it. Fams, it's an endless pit, man. And the moment you go down this rabbit hole, it's hard not to keep going. Actually, there's no turning back. Stay up to date for some new content on my channel by subscribing. I have some really interesting mods that I've completed, and I'm looking forward to getting it out for you all. Stay connected. Peace.